What do you make of the fact that he was in such close supervision in Japan and yet was able to escape his home, hop on a train, get to Osaka, get on a plane, make it through Turkey to Lebanon?
Well, apparently he wasn't under that close supervision at his home in Japan anyway. So normally when you hold someone without bond, which he was being held for a year without bond, they're either a flight risk or a danger. In this case, I would assume it was because he was a flight risk. So why did that change all of a sudden? And if it did change, then you at least have some sort of security put in place at his home. If you can't afford the resources, then you do electronic security. And Japan, one of the leaders in the world in electronic technology, does not have the technology to put ankle bracelets on people. That seems absurd. But in any case, they were asleep at the switch in terms of their monitoring of Ghosn. And his ability to then get out of the city through planes, trains, and automobiles was pretty easy after he got out of his home. Now, once he was out of there and he got on the train, not noticed, flew to Turkey, then it was easy from that point on.
Jeff, Interpol has put a red notice on him. What does it mean? And can they force Lebanon's hand where Carlos Ghosn is concerned?
A red notice is by Interpol is not an order. It's a request for any country that's in the Interpol system to take an action. In this case, the action would be to take someone into custody. It's doubtful that Lebanon will act on that request, the red notice, because Ghosn is a citizen of that country, and they have shown in the past and have indicated that they're going to protect their own citizens. It's unlikely they will act on that notice or at any point in the future have him taken into custody and extradited back to Japan to face charges, or to any other country for that matter.
Is it possible the Japanese wanted him to escape?
Wow. I can't imagine any situation where they would have wanted him to escape unless, as he stated in his press conference today, these charges are more political in nature or trumped-up charges, and they didn't have a case that they can win in court. Maybe under that scenario, you would think that it's possible they wanted him to escape so he wouldn't have to face trial, but that's really kicking this whole thing up a notch.
So when he left Tokyo, he traveled to Osaka, we believe, by train, and he wasn't surveilled?
Right. So apparently they did not have surveillance. His defense attorneys were responsible for providing, according to reports, reports about his whereabouts every month, which seems a little lax to me.
Not only that, but there are reports that Nissan had people surveilling him as well. They missed his great escape, and now they have gone back to keeping an eye on him in Lebanon because the house where he's staying is actually owned by Nissan, and Nissan's in the legal process of trying to evict him from this house. Do you think that there's any chance here that Nissan gets its way in forcing him to justice somehow?
Probably not. So because he's in Lebanon, even though he's living in Nissan's house, at some point he may be removed from the house. But he's probably got the wherewithal and the financial resources to live in any other place that he wants to. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. The funniest part of the escape, though, is not the train trip, because I guess some reports indicated he was allowed to travel in Japan. Others have said he can only be in Tokyo. But in any case, after the train, he got on a taxi, a common public taxi, to go to the airport where he flew to Turkey.
Where they put him in a box and load him on the plane. There have been reports that he was aided by a security consultant with U.S. connections, or was a former U.S. Green Beret. I can't keep the story straight. How many companies are there like that one around the world, in case I ever need their assistance? How many companies are there, and how do you find a person who can exfiltrate you from that kind of situation?
So Tyler, those type of people exist all over the world, and they consider themselves experts in removing people, exfiltrating people, but normally under situations where they're being held against their will. We're talking about kidnapping cases, and that's what they specialize in, and they practice for that. They train for that type of thing. So those type of techniques may have been used here, even though he officially, as he would say, he was being held as a victim, maybe sort of a kidnapping victim. But those people are all over the world that can do things like that, and he found, obviously, the right people to help him in this case.
Good to know them when you need them.